The Hangout on Air is live. Woohoo!
Yay!
I'm going to try doing this with my air conditioner on. It's literally like right behind the computer, but the microphone's directional.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's going to be okay. This is my PaulTalks here, and I'm going to start off with my theme music. And that's enough of that. Awesome. All right. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I see that we already have a couple people in the chats. Wonderful. My name is Paul. I'm based out of Los Angeles. I have a PaulTalks channel, and this is my PaulCast, where I have on my friend YouTubers to guest the show with me. Today, I'm joined by my friend
Annie Segara, or Annie Elainey, YouTuber, artist / activist.
Awesome. Yay. Let's see here. I think that I'm not sure. Did I find you through Bunny Hopkins or Ricky Pointer?
I think Ricky Pointer, probably. I think we're in the same YouTubers Who Caption video from Ricky.
Yes, that's it. Excellent. Captioning, very important. I wish it were more doable on 2-hour videos. Man.
Yeah.
That's rough. We are already joined in the chat by Rebel Wheels NYC. Hello, Rebel Wheels. And Denise Camacho is here. Hi, Denise. And Ewan. This is Ewan is here. Hi, Ewan, one of my Patreon patrons. Thank you for your patronage. All right. I actually prepped for this one because I figured I was going to be waking up so early, I might not know what the heck I'm talking about if I didn't prep myself. So here we go. First, what is happening behind me? Is that true? First off, how are things in Florida?
They're okay in my end. Like, I'm pretty south of Miami, so it was just like another storm. It was really great. I mean, we were over prepared, and that's a good thing. And very thankfully, we didn't. It was just another tropical storm, another rainstorm. Nothing that like we're not used to. In the north, it's a bit worse. There's a lot more flooding, and there is some flooding probably in Miami. But I'm south of the really flood risk zones, so it was very peaceful. We were over-prepared, and my mom, she's a teacher. She got to stay home from school for a couple days, and no bad happened on our end, so we're thankful for that. It's good.
Awesome. I'm glad to hear it. I was worried. Like, I know several people who are based out of Florida or whose family's in Florida, like my friend Andrea.
Yeah. Rick Scott was like, y'all need to get out of here or you're going to die. I'm not exaggerating. He literally said, there's no way you're going to survive this. You're going to die. You can look up his quote. You will not survive this if it hits us. And it really didn't hit us hard because we got like the outsides of it. So it was all right.
Yeah, I saw some like, what's that?
I said we're at risk still. They're telling us how it might come back on Wednesday next week because it wants to do a circle. But the news just keeps not being able to make up their mind. Like they're like, we're fine. No, it might come back. We're fine. No, it might come back. So we don't know. Our shutters are pretty, like they're on the windows, and we just have to close them like a garage door. So we're okay.
Wow, the travails of living in Florida. Man,
we're not afraid.
Well, I'm glad. I'm glad that it did hit you because that means that we are able to do the show together, which is great.
Yeah, for sure. I was worried about that, but we're fine.
It worked out. I mean, I actually have no more planned live events at the moment, so I had flexibility. I could have moved you to another weekend if we needed to. But it didn't work. We didn't have to do that, so that's great. I don't know how you started doing YouTube stuff. How did you start YouTubing?
Oh, I started like 2005, I think, or 2004. Not on this channel, on a different channel. Just as like a videographer. Like, I was the Mark from Rent type of student, and like always videotaping everything. And then I would make like on my own, not because of the yearbook or any kind of teacher thing. I would collect all the clips and I would make some kind of cheesy montage at the end of the year for my own purposes. There's like, I don't know, so like the old channel was just basically a bunch of random clips, random pieces of conversation, random funny moments that happened as a high school student. And eventually that kind of like documentative process became a video journaling process where I started talking to the camera and it became more video journal style. And that's pretty much how it ended up. How it still is, I think. I think it's still pretty video journaling. Like, I very much forget when I'm talking to a camera that other people are going to see it. And then worse when like people that I know watch my videos. I was like, God, not only did I forget that people were gonna see it, but like my little cousins like from South America can see this too. And then it gets a little awkward, like, oh, I saw that vulgar video you did about your gayness. I was like, oh, sorry, Thea.
I didn't mean considered vulgar because it was about your gayness?
Probably. You know, I have a very like Catholic Latino family, and I am the biggest black sheep. My mom is a black sheep because she's like one of the only kids of like 7 kids that didn't become a doctor.
How dare she?
I know, but it was a thing. She had a military dad, and it was very much like you have to become doctors when you grow up, and it was very much about like the money and like family tradition. And she's like, no, I want to be a psychologist. That's the funniest thing. And when she was in college age, she talked to her dad, and she's like, I don't want to be a doctor, Dad. It was like coming out for her. Like, I don't want to be a doctor, Dad. I want to be a psychologist. He goes, psychology. Yeah, that's your hobby, but what do you want to be? So, and I'm like, psychology is a hobby? I mean, I guess psychology is kind of my hobby too. But yeah, so she became the black sheep for that. I became the black sheep because I'm really outspoken and very much into like liberal politics and like very LGBT plus politics and feminism and stuff like that. So they're the kind of family that is more soft-spoken about stuff like that, and it's kind of like, this is not the topic for the table type people. And for me, there's no topic that's not for the table. Like, if I'm at dinner, I'll talk about anything. I'll talk about the end of the world. I'll talk about cannibalism while I'm eating my potatoes or whatever. I'm like, whatever. And so that's very different from everybody. I'm like the only one, the only one out in my family as I don't say the Q word in front of them, but that's how I self-identify. I'm the only one that's like gay in the family. Now I'm the only one that's diagnosed with EDS, but it's a genetic illness, so it's somewhere in my family. Ooh. Somebody else has to have it, and so I opened up the can of worms. Like, I'm diagnosed now, so that means that other people probably have the gene too, which is like, I'm such a troublemaker. So I'm the first one. I'm the first one diagnosed with that, and I'm also the first American-born person in my entire family.
You're just a troublemaker in every possible way.
I know. I gotta ruin everything. Oh well, it's fine.
It's so fun. You know, speaking of dinner topics, I don't know that cannibalism is necessarily as bad as being in the rainbow community for some people. So that's actually.
Yeah, I guess. I'm sure they'd prefer it.
I mean, cannibalism doesn't mean that you're not straight or or cis
I don't know. I think they just rather be hush about it because truth be told, I only ever did a real coming out thing to my mom. And then I guess she because she does the WhatsApp thing where she talks to everybody. I don't.
Your mom does WhatsApp?
Yeah, she has a big chat room with all her siblings. It's a big family. And they talk to each other every day through that. And I suppose she snuck it in there, just so you guys know, my daughter is one of them.
One of them.
The people. And so they know, but they never bring it up to me. They'd rather let's just pretend we don't know type thing. So it's just something that is not spoken about. And sometimes they'll, I don't know, make weird comments. I had one time, I think I was working at Disney, and one of my relatives said, "Oh, so you're working at Disney now? Any luck finding a handsome prince?" And I was like, no. Okay. And then I walked away.
Oh, I mean that was an open segue right there. You could do a cue for I'm actually looking for a princess.
I guess they I just didn't know what was the implication of that. I didn't know if they were inferring that they had no idea or if they were in denial. You know what I mean? They're trying to, what's the word? Arranged marriage me. Come on, you can hang out with this guy, or setting up dates. I don't know what I'm saying. Do you know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying. Yeah, they're trying to make you conform.
To push me in one direction. Yeah. You know, like that. So that's kind of how I felt. I was just I don't know. It's not something that we often talk about. But they're cool people anyway. I actually just said goodbye to my little cousins who slept over last night, and they're the perfect kids ever. They're 13 and 12. We did a marathon of movies they'd never seen before. They had never seen E.T. before. They had never seen, what else? We're Back, the dinosaur story from the 90s.
Wow.
I was like, I need to culture you all. E.T. was a very important must-see.
Did you show them Cats Don't Dance?
Yes, I did this morning. I'm a good educator. They loved it, and they're very intuitive. So they're my favorite. So I definitely have very cool relatives. I definitely have a good time with them. There's just some things that we don't talk
about. Yeah, I mean, family's rough. How does Disney compare? Are you allowed to be open in Disney?
I don't know. I mean, yes, they they don't have a problem with hiring gay employees or anything. I didn't know of anyone who was out as trans in Disney, but there was definitely a lot of gay employees at Disney.
Good.
There's definitely a lot. I think we outnumbered them.
Excellent. That's what makes it the happiest place on earth.
Pretty much, because I don't know what it is. Maybe gay people are very into creating a magical environment for other people. I don't know. No, it's not. I can't divide that as a sexuality thing. I think the people that work at Disney, a lot of them just really enjoy creating a really magical experience for people. That's why they applied to work there.
Sure.
Yeah.
How does YouTube compare to the other communities of your life?
Well, the YouTube community as its own community.
In terms of acceptance of things like being in the rainbow community, of disability, of ethnicity.
I found my own little corner. I think we have our little intersectional feminism corner that we have, because basically everyone that I know, everyone that I talk to is cool people and very willing to learn about stuff. And I don't know, it's weird, and I wouldn't describe it. I feel there's this stereotype of either intersectional feminism or progressive people that we only want like happy and rainbows and safe spaces and all this stuff. And it's like, I think we're very capable of having real conversations, but we just care about accessibility and not harming people with mental illnesses and not being hurtful and being better people as we grow through life. So it definitely isn't that weird, fluffy thing that they like to stereotype us into. So YouTube has created a nice space like that, and I definitely found a lot of people that with like similar mindsets, involving feminism, even disability. YouTube's created a really cool disability community as well. I don't know. And there is the bad side, obviously. Like there is a weird like army of people that want to harm the people that do not want to harm others, which I find is really strange.
Yeah.
Like they're literally creating content that is like, if you avoid behaving like this or talking like this, then you would avoid harming a certain community of people. And then there's an army of people that watch that kind of content and say, let's destroy these people who are saying those things. Like I got a huge backlash of, I don't know, what are they called? I would call them anti-SJWs, I guess, which I do not identify as an SJW by any means. But like, just because I never called myself that, not because it's a bad thing, but I never called myself that. And they just kind of place it onto people whether they have called themselves that or not. And they got really mad about a video called Casual Ableist Language. And like the entire comment section is filled with people, I don't know, calling me names and saying that I'm so sensitive or how easily offended I am or whatever. And the comical thing was, I'm not offended by any of the words that I was talking about. I was merely talking about the roots of the words, where they came from, and how they were used to hurt people. But they don't personally offend me or hurt me. Just kind of like talking about the history of the language.
So people came to your video about casual ableist language, and they use purposeful ableist language to try to hurt you?
Yeah. Oh yeah, like the R word and whatever, and I was just like,
come on.
Let me tell you, it doesn't hurt my feelings, but it's annoying, and I don't want it to hurt other people that it would hurt, so I am gonna like try and delete that because I don't want anybody that's in my channel space to have to deal with that.
Yeah, I don't mind identifying as an SJW, although I think of myself more of as like a social justice ranger or maybe a social justice wizard. Magician, social justice magician. But it makes me angry because it's like if I say this is X is hurtful and then you do X, you're saying I want to cause harm. That's what you're doing. Like you're not. Why would you like? I've just told you.
Yeah. Why are you so mean? Like I kind of look at that. I look at the state of things because social media and media itself, like television media and stuff, kind of really exposed to us just how many people in the world, how many people in just our country take thrill in the idea of causing harm to other people. They love it, and it's really odd to me. It's like they enjoy playing villain. And I just kind of sit here like, why are you so mean though? Why? Like, what does that give you? Probably a confidence boost. Probably it's that they have low self-esteem and this is some kind of like thing. You know, it's very simple psychology. They feel inferior and therefore do whatever it takes to feel superior, or they genuinely do believe that they're superior to everyone else and want to show a display of their own power, which is to hurt people that are weaker than them, or sensitive to things. Because that's the biggest thing that they comment about, right? They're like, oh my God, people need to stop being so sensitive. People need to stop being so offended. And it's like, because that's something they can control, because sensitive people can control how sensitive they are. They want to be as sensitive as they are, sure. But that's exactly, I want to be sensitive. I want to cry when I hear a song. Like, you can't train yourself not to be sensitive. So what are you really asking? You're asking for the extinction of those people. So silence. So be quiet.
I mean,
they're not going away. They're not going away anytime soon.
Yeah, they're definitely not going away. But yeah, I mean, you actually potentially could train yourself to be desensitized to things. That's basically what boot camp does. Boot camp is for desensitizing you to things that would affect you as a civilian, because you're going to deal with a lot of shit in the military. But somebody saying that, what's that?
I said certain things are just not, like, someone, it was interesting. So we were talking about, like, the trigger warnings in safe spaces. This video made safety is accessibility, and one person who apparently is diagnosed with PTSD says that that's not the way that you recover from PTSD or whatever. You have to face the things that trigger you, and it's like not without your consent to face those things. Number one. Number two, no, that's not always the case. For example, with eating disorder, if I'm recovering from eating disorder, there are certain things that are going to trigger me to fall right back in. It's not that, like, I'm gonna face my trigger and be perfectly fine. Same thing with, like, addiction, alcoholism. Like, sometimes triggers are not gonna help you get stronger. They're gonna set you back.
Yeah, I mean, exposure therapy can help some people with some things, but you need actual, like, guidance to go through it and for it to be successful. And if it works, if it works for that one commenter, that's great, but that doesn't mean it's going to work for anybody else.
Exactly. That's kind of what I meant. Like, it's not something that you can just turn on and off. Like, exposure therapy can work. Sometimes, one, it's not for everybody, and two, it's about consent. It's about what they're willing to put themselves through. And about equal access, because people that make those cases, including this commenter, basically said, like, well, fine, if you can't leave the house, then you're just never going to leave the house. And it's like, why are they not allowed to leave the house because they're sick, because they're mentally ill? That's a weird comment to make. And that comes from people who have no perspective and no empathy. Like, they're like, I don't care if you're trapped in a cell for the rest of your life. I'm out here. I'm stronger than you. I can do whatever. So that's basically where they're coming from.
Yeah, I mean, that sort of response, that sort of very isolated television response, is a sort of thing that prevented accessibility from being widely available until people said, this isn't good enough. It's not good enough to say that people who don't easily have access to things should not be given access to things because it would make things harder for me. Let's have the ADA, let's have the Disabilities Act, and make that happen.
Yeah. I know. And, like, for a lot of people, they believe it's weird. It's like ADA, you know, accessibility is an inconvenience to people, which it's only an inconvenience because it wasn't thought of in the beginning. If it were originally thought of, then it wouldn't be an inconvenience. It wouldn't be more expensive to change your building into a wheelchair accessible building if you had just designed it to be wheelchair accessible in the first place. We could go even into, like, homes about that, like how homes are not designed to be accessible. And then if you, let's say you got into a car accident, knock on wood, and you became paralyzed and a wheelchair user, your home is now inaccessible. What does that mean? Not only do you have to pay for all your medical expenses, but you have to also pay money to either find a new home or to make adjustments to your home because it's not accessible to you. That could have been prevented by just having an accessible home in the first place. People don't think about that. People don't think about that in the long term of, like, buying a home. I see people buy homes with, like, 3 staircases, and I'm like, oh, what are you gonna do if you're buying the home to own for the rest of your life? Probably, right? When you become older, more than likely, you're gonna have difficulty walking. You think you're gonna make it up those 3 flights of stairs just fine? I don't know. So I derailed myself.
Tangents are fine.
I do that very often, but yeah, if it was originally thought of, it wouldn't be an inconvenience at all. And for the most part, accessibility makes things better for everybody. Like if you enjoyed an elevator today, accessibility. If you enjoyed a movie with captions. In my home, pretty much everybody needs captions for one reason or another. My dad is hard of hearing. My stepdad is hard of hearing. My mom is a native Spanish speaker, and English is her second language. She needs captions as well. I have difficulty with hearing a little bit, as well as some cognitive impairments, so I need captions too. And I don't know, I really, and there's the people that are like, oh, I hate captions or whatever. Why? Okay, it's like,
I'm going to take a moment here to say hello to Kylia, who's joined us in the chat. Hi, Kylia. And also, I think JD Dalton is watching us because he just tweeted at me a question for us. And that question was, what label do you think puts more emphasis on in terms of advocacy and activism? Like, what's a good label for being someone who is an advocate, an activist? Because the term SJW is annoying.
I don't know. That's a really good question. I even struggle between, I have in my little branding an advocate instead of activist because I have, what's that word? Kind of impersonator syndrome. What is it? No, imposter syndrome. About labeling myself as an activist because I used to be involved in non-disabled activism and and protesting and things like that. I would be out on the streets and doing in-person protests. And now that with a disability, now being sick, more so than disabled, it's not easy for me to get out there. It's not easy for me to be in activist spaces. So I'm like, what am I doing? Like, what is my activism? I'm just kind of speaking from my own perspective and speaking from my own experience. And that in some ways is very easy. Like anybody could be, from the most privileged person in existence could go to a camera and talk about their personal experiences. But it just so happens because of low visibility and low representation for people who are diverse, for people who are of color or LGBT or disabled, it turns out that my narrative is something that a lot of people just have never heard of or never thought of. So it is kind of, I hate this word, educational. It's more enlightening to find out the perspective that they maybe have never thought of before. And Amanda Stenberg actually said that, she's like, my activism is my visibility, is the fact that I'm proud to identify as these things and I'm being visible doing it. Because you could, first of all, be a very positive person, you could be someone that's very quiet in those identities and not visible, versus someone that's creating content and being visible and enlightening people of different experiences and humanizing those identities.
Absolutely. I mean, for a lot of people who are in various marginalized groups, their act of being visible, of being out there and living their lives as happily and successfully as they can is itself subversive in an activist way.
Yeah, because I think also there's something to be said about how marginalized identities are very traumatizing on their own. Being assigned a female at birth, or being a person of color for sure, being LGBT for sure. Like, they all just identifying as those things and being visible in the world. Disabled, you don't even have to be visible for it to be traumatizing, because what's traumatizing is the erasure. Suffering through all these traumas people don't understand that the trauma is what creates microaggressions. People think that the term microaggressions is a joke, but in reality it's that these things pile on daily and daily and daily. The idea that we are less than is reinforced. So these little comments will like completely overwhelm us because it overfills the cup. It's like enough's enough. When are you going to understand that I'm a human being? So again, I derailed myself by talking about imposter syndrome. I don't know if what else you could call yourself besides. That's why I chose advocate though instead of activist, because I feel like I do in a sense speak for these identities in order to humanize them. I do advocate for communities even if I'm not a part of them. For example, advocating for deaf communities and blind communities. Like my disability activism is intersectional because I don't focus on just chronically ill people or wheelchair users. I'm very involved and trying to learn about the diversity of disability, which a lot of people forget. People think disability means wheelchairs.
Yeah, the big three: blindness, deafness, and wheelchairs.
Yeah, and so people forget about everything else. People don't even get me started. People don't even know that some wheelchair users can walk, and it's like the most aggravating thing.
I mean, confession time. Before I got into the disability community on YouTube, meeting people like yourself and Bunny Hopkins, and some other people who've used assistive devices, I would have been surprised to see someone get up out of a wheelchair and do things like reach for something off of a shelf or whatever. I would not have known any better. I had to educate myself after meeting people.
Yeah, it's well, that's an issue with visibility. See, it's just because like the way disability is represented in media is sad, sad in the underrepresented way, and sad in the actual way that they are represented. Most disabled characters are sad. All they want is to be not disabled anymore. AKA Artie, Glee. What else?
A lot of times, disabilities will be applied to a character for like a plot arc, and then they'll magically recover in some way that just like dismisses
or they
anything.
Overcome their disability.
The bullshit.
Yeah, they're the super disabled person, superhero. Yeah, so it's all there's a lot to discuss there, but I'm trying to organize all my thoughts on that and create some videos very specific to disability representation.
That's cool.
I feel bad. I'm sorry, JD. I never answered. I don't know what other word we could call ourselves rather than activists. The other word people use is progressive.
Progressive is so vague. I'm not a fan of the vagary of that. I'm fine with being. What's that?
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't understand how those things are bad. People use progressive again as a bad thing. In the same way, people who care about social justice is a bad thing. I don't know. I just wouldn't. I don't like labeling myself in any of those things. I'm even backing away, sadly, from identifying as a feminist, even though I am deep down. But I don't know how I feel about being called one recently, for a couple of reasons. One being that I feel like feminism kind of left me behind as a disabled person. And we could say it's white feminism versus intersectional feminism, but I feel like even if people call themselves intersectional feminists, they still really neglect the disability community anyway. This was rectified, but like one of the things that really stung was I'm part of an activist community here in Miami, and there was a situation where it was rectified again. I wanna state that first, was that it was rectified. There was an apology. Nonetheless, it did hurt to experience. Was that they selected a venue for an event, and then it turns out that the event had a staircase but no wheelchair access. And then it came to like the day before the event, and this was learned. Like they had booked the venue without checking it out, I guess.
Unbelievable.
And so they like let me know the day before, and I kind of over the phone, and I just basically had to go, okay, I guess I won't be attending then. And went through again. One of my symptoms is heavy fatigue, so I just like slept for the rest of the afternoon and into the day the next day. And I woke up to some friends publicly advocated online and said, and added the group and said this is unacceptable, that a venue would be unaccessible. It doesn't fit in with the values of the group. And immediately the work was done, like at some point through the night, to move the event to a different venue. So they made a public apology, and so I got to go to the event that night because it was all changed. And it was all thanks to my friends advocating, because and this was early on when I first started using a wheelchair. I did not have the emotional strength to advocate for myself. I'd be like, no, this is wrong. I just went to sleep instead.
It's hard. Like, it's hard for anybody to advocate for themselves, but when you have the added onus of being disabled, of having something that is restricting your spoons, it's even harder.
Yeah. That is. We were talking about that before. That like half the battle is, my symptoms of EDS and trying to deal with those symptoms, and on top of that, have to round up my energy to fight for myself. But like I said, that was all worked out, so there's no hard feelings. But that moment kind of woke me up to not just this group. I'm holding my icy hot. not just this specific group in my city, but in general, in the very large idea of intersectional feminism, that disability is often left on the back burner, and it left this weird resentful feeling. I feel like there's my disability activism, and then there's feminism. I feel like it's unfortunately two different things until we can really shake the other one up and be like, let's really put disability into the mix, along with every other community, along with POC and LGBT and women, right? Because I really, until I see it uplifted to be an equal part of that, I really kind of have a little bit of resentment for the label. Does that make sense? I'm not anti-feminism, obviously. Just kind of a little. I feel like a mom. I'm a little disappointed in you. a little.
I mean, it makes sense.
I love you, but I'm a little disappointed in you. And until you get your act together, I'm giving you a little bit of the silent treatment.
A little time out.
Here's your lunch. Go to school.
I mean, it makes sense. If the activist movement doesn't make space for you in their movement, how are you supposed to embrace it? That makes perfect sense.
Yeah. And honestly, I just feel like it's just I don't know. Again, we can't control how sensitive we are about everything, and I feel very sensitive to the fact that I don't have independent mobility as well at this time. So I haven't been able to really leave the house independently, right? Go hang out with friends, because I would need an aid at this point, because I can't push myself on my wheelchair. And so the only way I would be able to go out to a bar or something, I guess, is if my brother comes, but we don't really hang out with the same people, or I don't know. He also works a lot. So basically I haven't been out on the town since June, since VidCon was probably the last time, because I got to rent the power chair. But basically been trapped in my room except for doctors, which my sister helps me get to. And that's it. And then my mom will take me out for lunch on Saturdays, and that's pretty much all the world that I've seen. The rest is inside these walls, like a jail cell. Now it's not as bad, obviously, but pretty Rapunzel-esque, pretty all I see are these walls, and the sensitivity, I guess, comes in where I feel, again, it opens my eyes in a sensitive way that, like, if I didn't have social media to express that, right, let's pretend there was no internet, no one would know that I existed. No one would know that I was trapped in here. like, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
I could, if it were not for the internet, nobody would have any idea that because independent mobility is a privilege to me, an economic privilege that I cannot have, that I'm stuck in these walls.
Thank goodness for the internet.
Right, thank goodness for the internet. I think about that all the time. Like, somebody that a lot of chronically ill and chronic pain people always like refer to is Frida Kahlo, because she was also, she didn't identify obviously because this is after her time, but it was Funi. It's a person who dealt with a lot of chronic pain. She was also had chronic illness. She had polio when she was younger, and left long-lasting problems with her body. Her bus accident left issues with her body for the rest of her life and chronic pain for the rest of her life. And she spent a lot of her time isolated and in bed rest. And I think about that situation, and there was no internet back then, and I think that woman had some strength to, like, be in such an isolated situation for so long, and no community, right? Like, where are her disabled pals? Like, where's
they didn't know about her.
You know, like, it was just her lover and her family, like, coming into her room every so often, and she spent her time painting. I don't know. I'm just forever grateful, because I'm thankful that I can communicate with people and create communities straight from my bed, straight from the lying down position, and talk to people like you, and talk to people online, and chat with people via text messages, like no carrier pigeons, like.
Yep.
So
again, thanks for the internet.
Thank you, internet. Like, it's very. I always find those things to be grateful for, even in those crappy situations. And I don't care if I sound like Annie the musical. It's like, that's just like, that's there. If you don't have gratitude, then you're going to be absolutely miserable, in my opinion. Like, I could let a lot of this stuff really make me really sad, and sometimes it does, because I have depression. Sometimes it gets too triggering, and circumstantial sadness leads into a depression episode. But I'm also taking antidepressants right now, so that's helpful.
So antidepressants and internet, helpful things.
Antidepressants and internet. And gratitude.
And gratitude. We have we got a couple of comments in the chats. JD Dalton came to the chat and said, Annie, you are one of the few other creators that I can relate to in terms of intersectional minority labels.
Yay, intersectional identities.
Yay. And then he elaborated, my question was aimed at your own labels. What label, unintentionally or intentionally, do you think you put more emphasis on in speaking up about?
I think currently, because of my transition, actually, is disability.
Disability.
Because it's very interesting. If you look back, like, at my older videos, and I have, a lot of people don't even know about this anymore. I used to have a very popular blog. I have it. It's just I don't
update it
it too much. Called Stop Hating Your Body, and it was a big part of my eating disorder and body dysmorphic disorder recovery. I undiagnosed and unbeknownst to me dealt with body image issues and body dysmorphic disorder since I was really little. And so as I was doing self-therapy and self-recovery, I hit a very euphoric moment and, realized how sexist body image is presented to us via the media, and how the media was making me sick, and how sexism and fat antagonism were so intertwined and so targeted towards women.
Yeah, definitely.
And so for a long time in my channel, I promise I have a point. For a long time in my channel, all my videos were like body image related and media representation and women related, very focused on women, very focused on sizeism, fat antagonism, or as other people would call it, fat phobia, but one shouldn't do that. Fat antagonism is better than the other one. So if my channel was like a body image channel pretty much, and I focused a lot on women, fat antagonism, body image, and that was the main thing. And then after I started becoming sick, or more symptomatic of my illness, as my illness started progressively making me lose abilities, then my channel started focusing more on that. So basically, it's not like I pick and choose. Like if one were to look at my channel, there probably you would find like 45 disability body image, and then sprinkled in there maybe a little stuff about LGBT issues, and then maybe a little less than that racial stuff. Because I don't have a lot to. I do have stuff to talk about when it comes to race, and I have experienced racism, but I also acknowledge my privilege as a light-skinned brown person. So it feels a little difficult to talk about. It even now feels a little difficult to talk about fat antagonism because I feel like I'm talking from a place that's outside the community. Because now that I know that I'm not in as deep with my body dysmorphic disorder, my BDD made me believe that I was like 500 pounds, a very large person. And now that I see myself more clearly, I realize that I'm not. So I feel more imposter syndrome. Like, should I really be talking about fat antagonism from a non-fat perspective? Like, am I allowed to be talking about that?
That's rough.
And so that was a little internal battle. And with race, again, like it's like I have light skin privilege, and it's difficult. Like, how do I talk about it from such a, I feel like a minute experience almost. Like I've experienced it in several ways because I have an ambiguous ethnic appearance. In high school, like drive-by cars would like call me a terrorist because they thought I was Middle Eastern, which is wrong.
Wow.
Also,
I mean, even if you were Middle Eastern, that would still be horrible.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Like that's like it's bad on all levels and wrong on all levels.
Oh, JD chimes in here to say, "Lol, imagine being a white-skinned POC."
Right, it's difficult.
Oh, JD,
like,
I'm so sorry.
It's difficult because there's that thought that I haven't suffered as much trauma as people with less privilege than me. As well as another pretty traumatic thing that like follows me to this very day, follows me to every word that I speak, is that Spanish was my first language and English was my second language. And I was born in the U.S., but then I was raised in Peru. And so Spanish was my only language growing up. And when I came back to the U.S. and I didn't know English, I was bullied and called ableist slurs and racial slurs because I didn't know English. Because I had an accent and I didn't know English. So basically, in order to survive that as a child, like this wasn't something that my parents encouraged or anything. It was because of the bullying. I didn't have the words for it at the time, but I felt that I had to assimilate. So I watched Clueless like every day. And I tried to get that California accent as a kid, and like focused on my vocabulary, learning English, and then getting the accent right. And then kind of in this overcompensating way of, I'm gonna have better vocabulary than you, kid. So now that affects how I speak to this day. And like as a child, it was overcompensating. But now it's just the way that I talk. And I can't change it.
I was not expecting to identify with this part of your history, but I do, because I was raised in Korea and I spoke Korean for the first like 10 years of my life. But I went to the U.S. Army, like the DoD sponsored schools, the Seoul American Elementary School and Seoul American Junior High School, where the primary language was English. And so very early on, I ran away from my Korean accent in speaking English, and tried very hard, like you said, actually, to sound like the people that I heard on TV. And then I just reveled it. Like I also had a stutter. Was it a stutter? No, lisp. I also had a lisp at the beginning when I was first learning English. So I had a bunch of problems speaking. And like my act of defiance was to just try to become better at speaking than everyone else. That was what I did to try to get past that.
That also goes back into what we were talking about with bullying and mean people. It's like you have to, when you feel inferior to something, you feel like you have to overcompensate, and you have to be better than other people. So that goes hand in hand with like you have to feel superior to other people, which I wouldn't say created a bully out of me, but I'm saying those like they go hand in hand. This like overcompensating thing of like I have to be better than you because I feel insecure because of you, type thing.
I think that's a common response to marginalization. That's what happens if you push someone into a corner. They try to fight back and like get out of that corner.
Yeah.
In the chats, we've got Kelia. I mispronounced your name. I'm sorry. Kelia asks, talking about social justice topics attracts a lot of online vitriol. How do each of you protect yourself from that? / what tools do you wish existed to protect yourself from it?
I don't know I have no idea about tools. I know that there's a fun mass block thing that some people have, like, I've blocked like 1,000 racists, and if you want to block them too, here's the code, and you can mass block a bunch of people that you never have to ever like interact with because of that.
That's the thing on Twitter, I think.
Yeah, I've done that. I don't know, and like we were just talking about how like I got a mass like a response to a particular video, and I don't understand the level of boredom these people have, and they like subscribe to me just to dislike videos, and so I see videos that like there's no reason to like give it a dislike, but they'll have like so and so many dislikes on it. Like the video about like I don't know, it's very casual stuff, but sometimes I have very casual videos.
I love dislikes. Dislikes are great because they don't say anything and they increase your engagement. Like if you've got 1,000 dislikes, you show up in search results.
I'll try it and look at it like that. But besides that, I guess it's weird and probably bad. Sometimes I just stop engaging. Sometimes because for some reason, the internet is a place where people like to look for people to argue with. And I'm not in the mood to argue with people the most of the time. Like I'm sick and I'm tired most of the time. I have a little time in my day where I'm actually awake. And I don't feel like using that time to argue with people or educate people outside of, the videos that I create. And people always want to, I feel like I should be honored. At the same time, it's just exhausting. Want to challenge the things that I say and kind of want to have a one-on-one debate with me. I'm like, no. I don't have time for that. I don't have time to one-on-one debate with however many of you there are. This is just, no, I can't. I literally can't. So it depends. If it's a YouTube comment and there's slurs in there, I'll block them from making comments anymore because I don't want it there. And on on Twitter, if like there's folks who like want to challenge me, I'll be like, I'll just ignore it. I'll just like leave it there. Like, okay, you know what you could have done, person on Twitter? You could have Googled it instead of asking me about it. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, that's. I think that this actually kind of the reason for these people who attack you online ties into the motivation behind being angry at other people's sensitivity, and that is that if you live in a place of privilege, and I'm not saying that living in a place of privilege doesn't mean having a perfect life. It just means that you are privileged from not having to experience some of the things that people who are not privileged have to experience. That's all that means. But if you live in a place of privilege, then any attempt to make you do something that you don't want to do out of consideration for somebody else feels like it's attacking you. It doesn't feel like it's helping somebody else. It feels like it's attacking you. So if someone says, hey, you should be accessible to people who have difficulty reading your shit or whatever, then you feel like,
tell me what to do.
Yeah, exactly. You can't tell me what to do because they've never had to be told what to do before. That's when I react that way.
It's so sad.
And don't get me wrong. It would be great if literally everybody never had to do anything they didn't want to do. That would be a wonderful, like, even playing field. If nobody had disabilities, if everybody spoke the same language, if everybody was like as capable of doing all the same things and had the same economic abilities as everyone else, then fine. You can do whatever you want to do, and don't have to be accessible because everybody has accessibility. But that's not the world we're living in. That's not the world we're living in. And so just denying that accessibility, denying and also denying. Oops, you okay?
The camera fell down. We're fine. Now all of a sudden I'm flooded. Here we go. We're fine. We're back.
There you go. Okay. Denying people who are in marginalized spaces the validity of their experience just because it's difficult for you to make room in your worldview for that is it's again, that's that privilege. It's that feeling of entitlement that you shouldn't have to do anything. It makes me very angry. The way I respond to this sort of attack is to block the hell out of people and tell everyone else to do it as well. Because
just get out of here.
Because when you're that entitled, when you have that feeling of I've never had to do anything I don't want to do my entire life, what they're used to is being heard. That is their favorite thing, is to be heard because they can be heard. So stop letting them be heard. That's simple.
It kills them. And then accusations of censorship. Because, blocking people is the same thing.
I mean, I love it when somebody accuses individual people of censorship because A, that shows me what they know about censorship, aka nothing, and B, it tells me who to block.
Right. Pretty much.
You're complaining about being censored? I'll block you. That's great.
Get out of here.
I do think that one of the nice things about Twitter just recently, finally, is that they've opened up the quality control notifications to everyone. So if you turn that on, that you have only quality notifications, then all of a sudden, like 95% of the harassing disappears. It's astonishing. Because Twitter has had filters in place for years to block trolls and harassers automatically, but they only opened that up, but they only allowed like celebrities to use it. That's it. And this year, as of like the last 2 months, I think, they've allowed anybody to do it. So you can go to the settings in your Twitter and the notifications, and you can say quality filter for your notifications.
Hashtag not sponsored by Twitter.
In many ways, I'm very anti-Twitter because some of the shit they allow to happen, but this is finally a good thing. This is finally.
They also have the image descriptions on Twitter too. Which,
I use third-party applications for lots of Twitter stuff, but when I post images, I try to go to the Twitter app itself because that's where I can actually add the image description for visual accessibility. But
I like that they have it in the HTML, that they have it into the picture, as opposed to adding extra room. Yeah, instead of adding extra room. into the post. So I don't. There's like different ways to feel about that. I wish that all pictures had them encoded, had image descriptions encoded in HTML, and then you could hover over the image, even if you don't have a reader. If you need the image description, because I use image descriptions a lot as a sighted person, because of cognitive impairments. A lot of times I miss details in the picture. Sometimes if someone took a picture of a handwritten note, I'm like, I can't read that handwriting, so I need the image description to tell me what it says. Like different things like that, and
sometimes I just don't know what it is.
Yeah, and I feel like I definitely understand for some people how visually adding more text can be hard. Even for other people with different disabilities, adding like long blocks of text can be very difficult for you to process. So it would be better if we could like hover over images and see and then read whatever is the image description. I wish I knew how to do that. I wish I could like get whatever secret accessibility team there is for the internet. I was there. I'm like, can we code this? Can we get this done? And can we update the ADA, please, to include online accessibility? They already did in the UK. So if your website / business is not accessible, you're gonna have to pay a fine if someone decides to sue you. In the US, it's a little fightable because they haven't updated ADA like to include online accessibility. But you can still sue. Like it's still been done to have websites, businesses not be accessible to people. They can individually sue you for not having accessibility on there.
Yeah, I like that. I like that the UK has been much more prominent about that than the US have. We need to catch up. It's what we need to do.
I need to get me in there. Let me lawyer. let me get in there.
Kelia also asked, before I get away from that previous question, there's also a thing in YouTube where you can go to, I think, the community section of your YouTube channel, and you can specify blocked words. So if somebody, for example, if you get some ethnic slurs, you can put in the slurs as blocked words, and so those comments won't show up to the external viewers and on your page. They'll still show up for you if you want to go see your held for review comments. You have to look at them in order to delete them, but at least it prevents your audience from having to deal with those. So that's another tool that I use.
I like that. I use it too.
Yeah, and then the question from Kelia was JD Dawson says that's called blacklisting. Yeah, well, I think it's you can definitely blacklist people and maybe keywords. I think that's what it is, blacklisting keywords. Kelia asked, Annie, have you thought about alternatives to the feminist label like womanist, which was created by a woman of color as a reaction to being left behind the whiteness of feminism?
Yeah, I think I personally, the way I learned about womanist, I think that was a specifically like black reaction to feminism. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's for women of color or people of color in general. I'm hoping that it's weird, right? Like I said, I felt like a disappointed mom. Like it's I want to come back. You know what I mean? I want to be fully supportive of the term and what it means. I feel like currently feminism has been kind of capitalized in a lot of ways, just like body image has been capitalized for advertising. Now they know that if Dove does a plus size commercial, that they're gonna be selling more to women who are in the body positive movement, because a lot of people are progressively going into that.
Yeah, my friend Pascal just shared an article about how H&M is still doing just as many harmful things to people in general and women specifically, despite the fact that they had a neat feministy advertisement.
Yeah, exactly. So people are using it to make money. And feminism, in a way, I feel like it's happening too. At first, I was really excited that it was moving into a more mainstream way, like a la Beyonce highlighting the word in her performance and stuff like that. I was like, when that happened, I was like, this is amazing. People know that feminism doesn't mean man-hater, et cetera, which that's not really what happened. People now think that Beyonce is a man-hater.
Yeah, I know.
So I was really excited about that, but at the same time, like, I feel like a lot of people are using the word not knowing what it means on both sides of the field. Like, I feel like there's genuine activists who want to be intersectional, who want to be feminists, and are calling themselves feminists, but aren't, in my opinion, really in belief of equality for all. For example, like trans exclusionary feminists and stuff like that. Like they will call themselves feminists, but it's not really what it means. As well as people who think that feminism is a bad word and means man-hater. They don't really know what it means either. And I'm kind of like, with everything that's happening, including what I was talking about before with my resentment of like feeling excluded from the movement, I kind of like take a step back and I'm like, I'm going to let you all get your stuff together and then I will probably come back. but for now, settle down, get it together, and I'll come back. Because sadly, it took me a while to even accept the term for myself. I was raised pretty feminist. I have a feminist mom, though she never used the F word. There was actually a interview by Lady Gaga when I was younger. When she back in the day when she had purple hair, you know, and she was doing the dance music. I don't know, whatever. Back in the day when she had purple hair, and she was in an interview, and the reporter said, "So are you a feminist?" And this was the only thing anybody had to say in front of me to convince me that word meant man-hater. Lady Gaga said, "Oh no, I'm not a feminist. I love men. I hail men." That's what she said. She's changed her tune.
I remember that interview, and it pissed me off because of how she hurt the definition.
Yeah, she really did. I was one of the people that she convinced with that one line, because I was probably a teenager around that time too. Yeah, so that one line was like, oh, so that's what it means. And so I was one of the people that argued, like when somebody like on the internet was telling me, no, that's not what it means. It means equality for all genders. I was like, no, it means man-hater.
I mean, and wasn't this Lady Gaga? Like women have been misdefining feminism as man-hating probably since I want to say the 80s is when I first started seeing people do that sort of thing.
Yeah, and I felt so bad. Like, and sometimes I look at people arguing for certain things, and that's the kind of thing I was talking about before. Like, I don't have time to like make these debates, because the truth is, you're not going to come to understand these situations until much later. Probably, you're not going to come to understand them until your own time. Because like I remember a very specific argument I was having with somebody online about the definition of feminism, and that person, I think ultimately it was weird. They blocked me for some time, and then like unblocked me later. And completely understandable, right? Like I don't want to talk to this person anymore who keeps arguing the wrong thing. And so sometimes when I get into similar, right? Like now I can see it because I was once in those shoes. Like when you believe something that hard, you're not gonna get it until you want to get it. So debating is not going to change your mind for the most part. Same thing comes with any kind of bigotry, sexism, racism, anything else. You can debate with someone until you're blue in the face for 24 hours straight about how like LGBT people deserve equal rights, people of different races deserve equal rights, and the person is not gonna hear you on that day. They're not gonna do it. They're gonna have to come to their conclusion, to the oh my God, human beings are human beings conclusion in their own time. It's not gonna happen Usually it's not. Sometimes it does. Sometimes a debate helps, but a lot of times it doesn't. And I think you just have to decide whether you, as an individual, are okay to be in that debate for whatever reason. If you have the time, if you have the energy, if you have the mental health stability to be having this conversation, and you want to, okay. But a lot of people are just not going to be in that space. So that's why I can't do it the majority of the time. I wish I did. I honestly, when I run into those people on the internet and they want to debate with me, I'm like, if I didn't have terrible chronic fatigue right now, I would be lawyering you into the ground. But no, not today.
Like Kristen has joined us in the chat for a moment to say that, quote, "You both are amazing. Can't stay long, but I love you, Annie. You do amazing things, and I love your channel."
I love you. Thank you.
Aw, Kristen's the best. Yeah, I have tried to have discussions with people to bring them around to understanding that feminism is positive for everybody. But I also tend to reject just using the phrase feminism on its own because of its appropriation by just white women. It's like seems to be a white women's movement,
Yep.
where it can be like exclusionary of black people, exclusionary of Latinx people, exclusionary of trans people, exclusionary of disabled people, and that is antithetical in my mind to the positivity of the feminist movement. So when I found out that Flavia Zoden, with her quote, said, "My feminism is intersectional or it is bullshit," like I immediately grasped onto that. Yes, if it's not helping everybody, then what the fuck are you doing? You're not doing the right thing yet. You're on your way, and thank you for trying to get on your way. But if you're not trying to help everybody, then you're missing out a part of the picture.
That comes back down to definitions, and even if, like I said, even if one calls themselves intersectional, they often are neglecting the disability community, and that's why I'm just like,
yep.
I don't know what. So as someone asked before earlier, I think it was JD or Kalia, what word would be better? Like, what would be an accurate one? And I'm not gonna I don't feel right making something up here in this conversation. But I don't know. I wish that the words that we're using would not be appropriated and would be used for the way that they were intended to be used. And I wish that, like I said, I don't dislike the word feminism as much as I feel disappointed in the people who are identifying as a feminist and who are creating these exclusionary groups under the name of feminism. So it's not about the word, but it's about what they are making it mean by doing so, by being exclusionary. So, you know what I mean? Like, once the majority is appropriating it in that way, and you are the minority in the label, then you're like, well, this label doesn't really represent me anymore because they took it over. So if we can just get everybody on the same plane, maybe things would be different.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the problems with a label where there aren't set rules for that label, and there's no authority that can define it. I mean, today in 2016 in the United States, there are many people who want to call themselves Democrat, but don't because they disagree with a lot of the platform. And there are people who today have very good reason to not want to call themselves Republican anymore, but there's no better label for them yet. Despite the fact that they disagree with a huge portion of that platform. And likewise, Christianity. You don't, lots of people consider themselves to be good Christians, but fundamentally disagree with a lot of the tenets put forth by the Roman Catholic Church. So what do? They're not going to stop calling themselves Christians, but they have to fight for what they think is the good of that.
That's actually a really good example. That's a really, really good example because think about that. I don't identify as a Christian, but I think about how there are some Christians I know that are, pro-equality. Then there's a big representation of Christianity, which is that they are not pro-equality. They are bigoted, and then there's a lot of non-bigoted Christians. So that's kind of very, very similar to what I'm talking about. It's like it's hard to identify something when it's now represented in a very different way. And I'm sure that's how disagreements with identities come from all over the place. Like, even in the disability community, there's like huge arguments of like identifying as disabled versus identifying as a person with a disability.
That person first label thing.
Yeah, and some people like are like, no, I'm not. Don't call me disabled. I'm a person with a disability. Versus, I'm like, no, like personally, I don't mind either way, but I prefer disabled because like person with disability, they're not trying to be rude, and it's fine because it's true. But I'd rather it be part of my identity. Like I am gay, I am Latina, I am disabled. I'm not a person with gayness or a person with with Latinahood. Like it's not a with. It's part of identity. But I guess it's also part of like the social meaning of that too. So, but the reason that happens is because disabled, similar to the H slur, which someone got into an argument with me on Twitter too about how like the H word that's on all the parking signs is not a slur and that they identify as it. And like it's okay that you identify as it, but a lot of people feel that it's a slur because of how it was used against them. In the same way, some people think disabled is a bad word to be called to them because they were experiencing bullies by being called disabled when they were younger. So it really just depends on your experiences with those words. And I'm very, honestly, I find it very disheartening and saddening that it's so hard for the disability community to be like, what is it okay to call us and what is it not okay to call us? Because it makes it so much more confusing for non-disabled people, like, what is the right thing to call them? And we're here like, we're still trying to figure it out. You wait. I'm arguing with one another. I think the disability community is fine. And then besides that, this is my biggest advocacy when it comes to words and stuff like that, is like you just have to ask people individually how that they identify.
Yep.
Because some people even try to reclaim slurs too. So, and that gets really difficult when people try to reclaim slurs, because it's like, can you publicly, call yourself this stuff? Like, for example, I identify as the Q slur, and it feels really, I don't know, door shut in my face when I feel like I can't use the word openly when that is how I identify. And it's being reclaimed, and it's changing very quickly. Like HuffPost recently changed their title from, I don't remember, Huff Gay to Huff Q, and so it's getting more mainstream.
But I mean, the danger there is that you can't reclaim a slur for somebody else when you're not a part of that marginalized community. So,
yeah.
like,
you can't use it. That's the problem. You can't use it if you're not. And for me, like that makes things tricky. I was actually talking to a friend of mine about that, about like trying to create hashtags for different events and stuff. And they introduced using the C slur as part of the hashtag, which happens a lot. Like they'll use like for the disabled people. Okay, I'm gonna say cripple.
I'm sorry.
And like
that word is so excluded from my vocabulary. I literally could not think of it.
Well, I tend to use the hashtag as well, like in a reclaiming way. But yeah, it's a very mean word, and a lot of in disability activism, often things contain that word cut in half, right?
Hashtag C word punk.
Yeah, but they'll cut it in half like crip, like CRIP, like, and they'll do it and they'll make it into a different word. And okay, like what is one of the examples? There's like this one. So a word that has been coined to describe when non-disabled people play disabled roles, they'll call it hashtag cripping up. And so in our community, you know, that's how it'll be talked about. But I'm like, how are we gonna? But how? This is obviously something non-disabled Hollywood has to get into a discussion with us with. How are we going to talk about it if they can't, you know, use the word that we're using, which is where like disability drag would be a more neutral word for that, and that's the word that I prefer using, so that disabled people and non-disabled people can be talking about it in the discussion. Because
I think I've also seen hashtag able washing.
Able washing, probably. I've never seen that before, but like, yeah,
I spent some time on Tumblr, so.
I used to spend a lot of time on Tumblr. Now I just spend a lot of time sleeping.
Fair.
And reading all the time. I'm like, my mom is very surprised how much information I gather in a day, because like I'm reading all the time, and if not reading, I'm watching a lot of like documentaries or just very informational things. So that's like one of the perks of being sick, I guess. I have a lot of time to learn stuff, so I'm just like a beacon of knowledge.
That's good. I mean, it's good that you're not only that you take that benefit from this circumstance, but also that you're able to. Some people who are knocked on their back from EDS and other things, they can't even concentrate enough to do things like absorb information from books.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes that's very fluid too. Like my cognitive impairments, what we call brain fog, would be difficulty focusing and difficulty with memory. Oftentimes, people will get very upset with me because I don't remember stuff a lot, you know that reaction, like, you don't remember that? But I was with you. Like, it was like this and this. I'm like, I have no memory, no memory of it. It's weird, and it's, you know, and I'm kind of, again, it all comes down to gratitude. Being becoming sick and becoming disabled has given me such tremendous perspective on things that I wouldn't have thought of before. So the same benefit that somebody might get from listening to me, I'm benefiting from experiencing it, because it opens up. I think one of the things that I enjoy most about life is learning. And from becoming sick and from becoming disabled, it's been such a learning experience for me. So like things that I wouldn't have thought about, like I've been having difficulty with my hearing recently, and that made me notice in my life, like when I can't hear something, and someone's like, "Oh my God, I can't!" Like they react with anger. I can't believe that you can't hear that. It's so loud. I'm like, I can't hear it, and this feeling of like, yeah, you could advocate for yourself. Like I just made the example of, like, you can't believe it, but it's true. You, as much as advocacy is a response, there's also this response that makes you feel sad, sensitive, because somebody just yelled at you for something that you can't do.
I've been in that situation when I was younger. I've been in a situation where I would react badly to people asking me to repeat myself, or by saying that they couldn't hear me. And as I developed more friendships with disabled people, I realized that was because I was assuming their ability, and then taking umbrage that they were choosing not to understand me, as if that was something that people could choose to do.
Right.
But that was how I'd interpret it. So that was my mistake.
That's a slippery slope, because you had a speech impediment and a language thing. My mom, sometimes that is used as a bullying thing. My mom, you know, she immigrated to the U.S. I don't know, like when she turned 30, I guess. So she didn't really have a lot of English at all, and she had a thicker accent. To this day, she experiences bullying at the school that she works at. Like, she has a thicker accent, so some of her coworkers will be like, "I'm sorry, what? What was that? Why don't you speak English?" When she is speaking English. Like I'm sorry. They're all like, "I'm sorry, I speak English." So they're doing that to bully her.
That is
so that's
bullshit.
I know. She's very sensitive about her accent because of that. It sucks. I always try and encourage her a bit more, but yeah, all that's really complex. So sometimes it is what it is. Sometimes it isn't. Sometimes it's bullying, which is more than likely what you were experiencing. And sometimes, like, the anger is genuinely on, like, is the ableist anger of, like, I'm mad that you can't do it. Because, like, it's very strange. I try to psychologically analyze what makes someone angry and do something. Like, what is the root? Why are you angry that someone has the inability to do something?
I sincerely think it's because, I sincerely think that it's because they don't understand inability. They think it's a choice. On some level, whether they consciously say it or not, they think that the person who has disability is choosing not to communicate with them very well.
Yeah, my brain has this thing that it does, like, it travels really quickly and then zooms in on something. And what I just zoomed in on was like capitalism and the lack of contribution, and hence laziness. So if you are not doing something, like if you are not able to do something, it's very deep rooted, very deep. Like, this is not a conscious thought. This would be, this anger comes from you're not doing your part, you're not lifting your weight.
Yes.
Like, you know what I mean? I think, and I'm trying to navigate all these thoughts, like, I don't know. I guess it comes back down to, like, maybe you think of, like, elementary school and, like, group activities. When there's that one student that is not, doing their part, you think of it as lazy. You think of it as, like, you're angry because you feel like you are being taken advantage of. Capitalism. You are lifting more weight than somebody else. And that's, like, the biggest thing, probably, that creates that anger. That like, for example, people don't like to repeat themselves when somebody can't hear. Like, I said this. I'm sorry, what was that again? I'm gonna repeat this. Okay, I still can't hear you. I'm not gonna repeat it anymore. And then they walk away. Like, they feel like they're doing more work to be inclusive of someone else.
Yeah.
And the other person's not doing enough work or not doing any work for the same results. That all comes back down to, like, capitalism and ableism are very hand in hand.
I mean, capitalism is an ableist philosophy. It requires you that you have all the abilities to contribute to capitalism that are possible in a human being, and that you exert them in that direction. And it makes zero allowances for people who have other abilities or lack abilities.
Mm-hmm. Like, it's I don't know. It's a lot that I still have to, like, navigate and figure out. Like, I feel like it's very strange. I feel like people, it's interesting that people love their pets who they have to take care of for their entire lives. And pets don't contribute to anything but you emotionally and your relationships. Like, you have to take care of a pet forever. But the idea of taking care of a human forever, no way, what a burden. Oh my God, get out of here. Like,
Yeah. Well,
why?
I think that your earlier statement ties into that as well. Capitalism has as an inherent component of it ownership of property. And so if you own the property, like a pet or a house or a car, then you feel fine taking care of it because you own it. It belongs to you. But you're not allowed to own people anymore? Why should you take care of them?
Oh my God.
Yeah. In the comments, Rena J, I think I'm pronouncing your name correctly, Rena J, says, oftentimes people expect others to have the same abilities, limits, etc. as they do, which then leads them to lash out when someone else can't meet those personal expectations.
Yeah. Well, anger usually is because I think psychologically, anger comes directly from expectation. Like, people get angry because they expected something else and therefore react with anger. Any other?
Yep.
Yeah, that's basically what it is.
Yep.
Like that's the simplest thing. And if you can think of any situation where you get angry, it's because you expected better. You expected something different than what that one ended up happening. Like in the same your relationships, you get angry with your friends. The anger comes from you expected your friend to show up. So everything comes from expectation. If you don't have any expectations, you rarely are gonna get angry. You're mad at the patriarchy. It's because I expect people to be equal. Well, if you didn't have any expectations, it might not have made you so angry.
Yeah. I mean, that is the root of the violent backlash against trans people being out as themselves. Is that cis people have this historical expectation that certain things that they've been taught about gender are always going to be true. And when they encounter something that does not meet that expectation, they get violently angry about it.
Yep.
Helia also says, here on capitalism as an inherently ableist system. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
This is taking I'm actually gonna skip these questions because they're going backwards a little bit in the conversation. But I wanted to check in with you. We are here at an hour and a half into our show. How are you feeling?
I'm all right. I got my leaning chair, so I'm adjusting myself as needed.
Keep adjusting yourself. If you are too taxed for this, if it's a little bit too exhausting, let me know and we will cut off. But I think that we're going well.
Yeah. Okay. And I have my water. I told you prior to going live, I took an Excedrin and hopefully the caffeine is helping me.
Good. I'm glad. Something that you mentioned when you were talking about how Hollywood and mainstream media will do things like, for example, casting abled actors in disabled roles. There's the hashtags opposing that. What do you think about? Well, there's a couple of sides to this. What do you think about? Let me go this direction. Inspiration porn, and able people making it. Like saying, "Oh, this person is just like my hero for surviving as a disabled person in a wheelchair," versus B, people who are themselves disabled people and trying to, take advantage of that to, make a big deal out of themselves in that way. Is B even a thing? Does that even happen?
This is very interesting. Well, first, I think that inspiration porn as a topic is very complex, and trying to identify what inspiration porn is, for example, inspiration porn is the idea that it objectifies a disabled person, it turns them into porn per se for the inspiration of non-disabled people. So, for example, a big inspiration porn thing that happens is when someone with a disability gets asked out to prom, and everybody's and everybody's like, that non-disabled person is such a hero. Oh my God, unbelievable that they would, what would they call it? I feel like it's this idea that person could have gone with a non-disabled person to prom, but instead was so charitable to take a disabled person to prom. That disabled person must be so happy that a non-disabled person took them out. It's really strange. I always think about, and I always pose the question, like, how would you feel? How would you feel as an individual? Think about yourself. If somebody asks you out on a date, all of a sudden that person ends up front page news because it's unbelievable, unheard of that someone like you would be asked out. Absurd. But you know what?
I've literally had that nightmare.
Like, what a hero. What a hero they are for asking you out. So stuff like that. But so, and your question of like, if we ever happened, it's so complex. It's so interesting because the thing is, inspiration porn sometimes, right? Like the story doesn't have to be inspiration porn, but the response is like, for example, let's say genuine news, someone in the Paralympics beat a record and won first place. News like that, athletic news, right?
Mm-hmm.
Genuine news. Like they won first place, they beat a certain athletic record, etc. And then all the comment section goes, "Oh my goodness, it's so great! They overcame their disability," and like da da da. Like they kind of turn it into they turn it into a story about their disability and how their disability makes them feel better about their own lives. And I always try and talk about that, like how like whenever we talk about disability, anybody, disabled people, non-disabled people, always imagine talking about that as like any other identity, like overcoming blackness or overcoming gayness. It's not something that's necessarily overcome. It's just a part of who they are. Disability is part of the natural diversity of humans because humans are gonna be different. Including my illness is a genetic illness. It's part of my genes. Like it's a diverse way of being human. I just have to do things differently than someone who does not have the same chromosome variant than I do. And we just haven't come up with the accommodations, with the accessibility for me to be have accessibility to everything equally as everybody else. And like some people got to take vitamins. Some people have vitamin D deficiency. I need some kind of thing to help me with my fatigue and with my chronic pain. Let me backtrack. What were you saying?
I was gonna say, well, a problem is that your counterexamples. Imagine saying that you've overcome gayness, overcome blackness. I mean, some people literally do say that about blackness. Like, oh, it's amazing this person has accomplished this because they're black. Some people say that about gender. Yeah. It's amazing that they've accomplished this because they're a woman. It still happens.
I'm so sorry, but my head just completely forgets that people would actually do that. Like I do not surround myself with people who do that, and I apologize for living in my bubble. But I know now I remember that yes, people would do something like that. You shouldn't do that, but okay, this is something that needs to be evolved from.
The last two presidential the previous presidential election and this presidential election are both those things.
Yeah,
it's amazing he's become president. He's a black man. It's amazing that she's running for president.
Be an obstacle.
Yeah.
I can't believe that people would believe that identity is an obstacle, but you're right. People do believe that. But hopefully people who identify as intersectional feminists or feminists, period, would understand why that's problematic and not good. The other side, you were saying that somebody might exploit their own disability, create their own inspiration porn themselves. They are creating their own inspiration porn narrative. Like, look at me, I overcame my disability, or whatever. Purposely making a story that is inspiration porn.
Yeah, I mean, does that exist, or am I just making up a straw man example?
It might, and I'll tell you why. Because that's how a disabled person. That might be their only way to make money. that might be it. And I feel like, respect to that in a certain way. Like, you got to make money. You got to make money. Similar to, let's say, diverse actors, like actors of color or disabled actors, when they have to play a stereotype or they have to play, and usually it's the stereotype role, or like for people of color, the best friend role, stuff like that. you gotta get your check. You gotta get your check. Like, all respect. So times are what they are right now. You gotta do what you gotta do. Do it. Like, that's how I feel about that. Like, is it the most progressive thing? Is it the most helpful thing? No, not in my opinion. But you gotta do what you gotta do. And you know, I have respect for that. I get it. My only thing is, just don't get in the way of people that are trying to change that. Like, because like I get that.
I like that.
I get, you know what I mean? Like, like you do what you gotta do, but don't stand in my way of trying to change that. Like, of trying to create bigger roles, because sometimes they're so cozied up to you know, assimilation to the system, that they'll start arguing with activists and saying, like, no, stay in your place, stay down. And it's like, listen, you got up there to that point via assimilation. You're making that money via assimilation. You're getting the success via assimilation. That's fine. But for the people that are not assimilating to the system, people who are revolting against it, fighting for progression, leave them alone. let them do what they got to do. And something that happens too is being mislabeled. For some reason, that came up to my mind as a good example. There was a situation, I think, last week, and I'm not going to name any names, but there is someone who tries to highlight diverse performers, and they added them and added them, like they mentioned them in the post, and made this little synopsis of their accolades and stuff like that. And the person wrote, this is a non-disabled person, and they wrote, this person that I'm talking about is a handy-capable model. And so I thought that was curious. I was like, does that person identify as that word?
Does anybody? It's not the 90s anymore. What happened?
And it got a little bit heated because they became defensive of, like, oh, I try to include people, and I can never satisfy everybody. And I'm like, whoa. I'm like, literally, you could have just said, this person identifies as this word, and that's why I used it. Or, oh, I don't know, should I ask? Are we willing to learn about what I'm talking about? Like, I said that with absolutely no shade, absolutely no ill intentions, just a genuine question, like, because you know, sometimes people identify as the C slur, like I said. So sometimes somebody can just identify as that. And I don't know, the conversation got shut down with, like, oh yeah, I asked a friend of theirs, and they said that that's okay, the word that's okay to use. And I'm like, that's not the same thing as asking them themselves, or if they identify as that. But then the real shutdown was that the person who was mentioned in the post, you know, expressed gratitude. Well, like, wow, thank you so much for featuring me. And the thing is, I fully understand that as someone who doesn't get recognized, as someone who doesn't receive spotlight, if someone gives you spotlight that you are a fan of, even if they spell your name wrong, or if they give you the wrong identifier, you're just gonna show gratitude.
Right.
You're not gonna push that button and be like, thank you, but that's not, like, because it takes certain different people to do that.
Well, I might actually do that, but most people...
exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, some people are willing to do that, and some people are not. Some people are gonna just say thank you and go back into their place on the shelf, right? And I know that sometimes that's happened to me too. Sometimes, like, because when you're used to not getting any spotlight, you're grateful for any spotlight at all. So when people have, like, spelled my name wrong, or said that I am something that I'm not, I'm like, meh, believe it. I've done interviews before where I was misquoted, and they said something else, which kind of made me nervous. I'm like, wow, if they're gonna, like, change my words into something else, that's really scary. But I didn't correct it. I'm just like, just leave it. Just be grateful that they, like, featured you at all. So I get it. I get why that kind of stuff happens. and a lot of it happens from being a marginalized person. A lot of it happens from the fact that we are underrepresented, so therefore anything we get, we're like, give it to me, give it to me. Like people who are very, very hungry.
Yeah. I mean, the way to fight that is with tons more representation.
Yeah. So
then you're in a place where you can pick and choose and say, hey, this not so great, this better.
Yeah, so you get it. Like when we have such limited options that we're just gonna like take our month-old porridge and be like, thank you so much. like just take it. And I don't know. Oh, what is it? I feel like I didn't explain very well what it means to like block someone and or be in someone's way. What that would mean, an example of that would be like there was a conversation as well about identity and how we identify. And if I say I identify as the C slur or the Q slur, and that's different identities, right? And somebody were to publicly shame me for using those words or tell me that I am not allowed to say that because then I'm going to interrupt myself and give myself a better example because it leads from it leads from the same thing, but it's more broader. The kind of content that I create sometimes can be angry and scolding. I try not to, but sometimes I get emotional. I'm like, you need to get it already type of attitude. And a response has been from other disabled people that I can't talk like that because it alienates non-disabled people. So this is more broader of what I was about to say. And my response to that is, if the way I talk alienates non-disabled people, if they are too sensitive or not willing to open up their minds and learn from things that I say or learn from my emotions and from my pain, from their actions, then it's not their time, and they're probably not the people that I want to talk to. You see where they are coming from, though, right? Like their concern is how non-disabled people feel. Their concern is that I'm going to be representative of disability and that I'm representing disability as angry people, which I don't think so, but whatever. And that because I'm representing disability as an angry experience, that non-disabled people will not want to interact with any of us anymore. So I was like, I don't think that's what's happening, because I do have a lot of non-disabled people that are friends and a lot of non-disabled people that are willing to learn things. I get where you're coming from, if that's your activism and if that's your way of creating, which is a very, inviting, welcoming, soft type of style. You do that, but why would you try and stop me from creating in my way? Because you're scared that I would represent everybody. Why is it? Do you see what I'm saying?
I do.
Like,
I do.
Like
yeah.
that's what I mean by getting in my way. That's what I mean by, like, if I were a sensitive person, a comment like that might really make me like take a step back from creating and be like, am I doing it right? Am I inviting non-disabled people in? We can come back full circle and say that the stuff that I create is very much video journaling and expressive of myself and expressive of the way that I feel and expressive of my observations. And that's going to come out the way it comes out. There's plenty of videos where I'm still not clear on my own opinion and I'm navigating stuff and I'm welcoming people to help me navigate through those things. And other times when I'm very clear on my opinion. And oftentimes where I'm emotionally reacting to something, whether it's because I'm sad or I'm angry. And so personally, I feel that the way I represent all my identities, being a person of color, being a member of the LGBT community, and chronically ill and disabled, is hopefully transparency. It's hopefully that I am very honest about everything that I'm experiencing. And it's multidimensional. So, one, I disagree. I don't think that I'm representing anything as just an angry person. And even if I were, that's okay, because that would be my self-expression. So just because one person wants to be an activist in one way doesn't mean that the other way is the wrong way. So that's kind of what I mean by getting in someone's way. It's like trying to interrupt them and telling them how to do their activism.
It's like
how to interrupt somebody else.
It's like gatekeeping on how you're allowed to be an activist. Like if you don't do it this way, you're doing it the wrong way. You're not really an activist, a good activist.
Yeah, pretty much.
I understand. It's something that I myself have to check. I interrupt myself. I interrupt myself if I am not a part of that marginalized community for which I'm trying to advocate. So, like, if I try to say something about disabled people, like I better have the receipts to back that up, or I'm not going to say that, because I'm not in that place. I'm not talking about myself. I'm trying to advocate for somebody else. On the other hand, I definitely do have mental illness. And so when I want to talk about my mental illness, I can talk about my mental illness however the damn well I want to talk about it, because it's mine.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You make a lot of videos. You make so many videos. It's great. But are there any projects, like video projects or other types of projects, that you've wanted to do and haven't been able to for any reason?
I mean, in general, I wouldn't say any specific projects. I wanted to look back on my Queer Disabled series that I did and get more, either look for more people that want to be involved in a series like that, and maybe change it to like trans and disabled for like a season 2 or something. Like, I don't know. I'm very much exploring that and the idea of like talking to people about their intersectional experiences with different things. And I don't know if I'm really in the explorative phase of that. Like, I don't know if I want to continue it being two intersectional things, or I don't know. Well, I'll see. So that's something that I've been thinking about. I also really want to do. There's stuff that I'm planning on doing, and it's just that I have to continue my research and really outline my concrete thoughts on it. So the next thing is also disability representation, and I also am in the middle of like doing as much research as possible, not just from like what doctors have written, but from other people's personal experience with EDS. So not just like looking at medical documents, but talking to people who are diagnosed with EDS and about their experiences. To kind of compile stuff for EDS Awareness Month, which is a long time ahead. That's in May. Because I make a lot of promises. I made a promise about a small YouTuber countdown. Still haven't done that because I can't. It's hard. I made a promise about making a video about what EDS is. It's kind of simple, kind of complex, and it's all over the place because every individual experiences it very differently. So trying to get all that down. Besides that, I love making videos, and I try/want to make 4 to 5 videos a week, and I have them themed. I have like Media Mondays or Music Monday, so that's either I'm doing a countdown or some kind of other artistic media, or including music. And Tuesdays, Let's Talk Tuesday. Wednesday is Why Not Wednesday, where I finally get to do an activity because why not? Thursday used to be called hashtag in case you missed it, right? ICYMI, about like either trending topics or something that you might not know, in case you missed it. So like I think the last time I used the phrase in case you missed it in the video was for the some wheelchair users can walk video, or how do you spot a fake disability. And then after that video, Thursday kind of just became a weird disability day, because in case you missed it, like all of a sudden inspired like people don't know so much of this stuff about disability.
Yep.
And so I could easily start all my disability videos with, in case you missed it, here you go. here's a fact about disability. I could do that for disability too white. I could be like, in case you missed it, there's only white disabled characters in your media. But I felt like in case you missed it might be kind of condescending, so I haven't been using it.
Oh yeah.
So like I don't know. It's like in case you missed it, it's supposed to be like this kind of like parallel to like the more you know type thing. But I feel like it doesn't sound the same. I feel like it sounds a little more like condescending about the information. So I don't really know where to go with that. But that's kind of why Thursdays has been like accessibility information, disability information, advocating for. Well, there's been quite a few advocating for accessibility on Thursdays, and just other disability topics that are very broad, that are not necessarily personal to me, more like just advocacy. And then Friday is a free day. I can either not make a video or or just do whatever I wanted. But in the past month or so, I've been really sick, either like vomiting or so fatigued that here's been my sleeping pattern. I either am up but in pain and fatigue, so I'm in bed for like the majority of the day and sleep for like a 2 to 4 hour nap. I can't sleep, insomnia. And then I'll crash for like 16 hours. Like, so I'll miss entire days.
Wow.
Of like heavy sleep, where like my mom will try to wake me up and I just won't. Like I'm just completely knocked out, and experiencing hot symptoms where my blood pressure yo-yos, like high blood pressure, low blood pressure, high blood pressure, low blood pressure, and getting really dizzy and nauseous, borderline fainting, though I haven't really fainted yet.
Thank goodness for that.
Yeah, and I'm dealing with something like my right wrist has either been in a really bad sublux or dislocation for a while, and I have to find somebody who can fix it. Like my wrist bone is like on the outside, so and it hurts real bad. But it sucks. I made a little tweet about it before because like I've been showing it to people and specifically relatives who are like, no, that's how everybody's looks. So there's like a little bump on the side of your wrist.
Right.
And it's to be very slight, but mine is like very cool, very out there. And yeah, so I looked up, finally I decided looking up like, what does a dislocated wrist look like? And it looks very much like the wrist that I have.
Oh no!
So I was like, man, that's why this hurts, because it hurts to the touch. Like it hurts like for someone just to touch the thing. So yeah, fun stuff. Dealing with that. And I get something. Speaking of videos, of something that I wanted to create soonish is about how I want to be transparent about my illness and how like there were comments when I got diagnosed with EDS that I felt like I didn't know where they were coming from. Were they coming from people that were surprised or just ill-intentioned, saying that I seemed very excited to have a problem. It kind of made me self-reflect and think, I hope that I'm not like representing my experience in a false way. Like
I don't think you are. I mean, I think people who haven't lived with an undiagnosed chronic illness for a long time don't realize what a huge release of a burden it is to finally get that diagnosis, and instead they fall back to your earlier proposed idea that people think that you're trying to be lazy and like you're reveling in it.
Yeah.
I think that's the false reaction.
That's kind of like I want to really talk about the transparency that I would like to portray, which is that it's people don't get, like, even now that I'm sitting here talking to you and I'm laughing, I'm talking, that I'm in pain, that I have back pain, I have a pain in my feet and my knees and in my wrists. And people would think you can't possibly be that bad because you're still talking. But the thing about chronic pain is that, yeah, it's at a certain level all the time. And that's why I have physical disabilities. Like, I can't pick up anything over like 10 pounds or my wrists will give out. And that's for laxity and pain, because the wrist is too weak to pick it up. But it'll turn into just imagine if all your bones were limp. If you're Sally from Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yikes.
That's basically how it goes. So I don't know, this idea of like you're lazy or you're faking, it's very, I had a nightmare about it just 2 nights ago, about being surrounded by people who would not accommodate my needs and were in disbelief of the fact that I had those needs. Like, I was at an event and I don't know if I had my wheelchair or not, but someone was like, "Oh, you can take the chair, you can take the stairs if you just try hard enough." And I'm like, "No, I really can't take the stairs."
Wait, this is, sorry, was this real life or was this your nightmare?
No, this is a nightmare.
Okay.
This is a nightmare. But it happens in real life. It all stemmed from like real life gaslighting and real life dismissal. And that happens all the time. And it was just a nightmare where like, a very, like, if you think of a movie nightmare, it was exactly like that, of like echoing voices like from all over the place that like were just dismissing me and gaslighting me and telling me that my pain and my disability isn't real, because I present myself to be a happy person or a laughing person, or I don't represent myself to be in pain all the time. And it's the most daunting thing. Like, I don't know how to express. I don't know what people want, because what do you want? You want me to be crying every single moment of my life? Is that the only way I can convey to you that I'm in pain all the time? Is that what you want? Because that's not the life that I want.
I mean, that is what able-bodied people want to see in disabled people, is that, because we have a society that is a society of disbelievers and rejection of empathy. Like, we don't want to believe women. We don't want to believe people of color. We don't want to believe victims of violence. We don't want to believe anything that we haven't experienced ourselves. And so when you see a disabled person who's actually living their life in the best way that they can, we don't want to believe that they have a disability. We want to say, hey, my eyes tell me that you're not disabled, so you're lying. And that's bullshit, and it's a part of the problem of our society.
Yeah, it sucks. And it's like, well, it all goes back down to how painful the erasure is. Like, I feel like if there were more representation of that, like, people might understand a bit better. Like, if we had more characters that were wheelchair users because of chronic illness and like would get up from their chair from time to time, or only like, because Speechless has been fun. Speechless has been fun to watch, and in that case of like pretty authentic disability representation, because he's a fun character that they have in there. But I wish, to that same extent, like maybe there was a sitcom with someone with a chronic illness, maybe similar to mine, that like they could walk around their house a little bit with like orthopedic shoes or with a cane sometimes, and then the family said, okay, we're going to the mall now, get your wheelchair, because they cannot walk long distances, which is my situation. Like, I can walk around my house a little bit. I can't really walk barefoot because with EDS, the joints in my feet, they kind of crash into the ground, which is what causes the pain. It's like plantar fasciitis, and all my joints are very flat, so like everything crashes into the ground.
Right.
So I need orthopedic shoes, or I have like these socks with like gel on the heel so that it's less shocking. Because the way I would describe it, it's very sharp pain. Like if someone asks you to walk on Legos, that's the kind of pain.
Yeah, I remember something that at Disney. Yeah.
Yeah, and like like the sharp pain of like when you take a bad jump and you land on your feet the wrong way and the shock goes up the leg, like
Yikes.
that kind of thing happens. So I have to put like these gel things on my heels to avoid the shock.
But mass media never represents that. Like in mass media, in like mainstream fiction, if somebody gets out of their wheelchair, it's always presented as they were faking it. It's always presented that way.
Always, and like, I don't know how to like show that off a bit more in my channel. I wish I could figure that out because I don't really blog because I don't get out of my house because my life is really boring right now. I just lay in bed and read off my laptop or watch something on my laptop.
Well, your favorites video was great for addressing exactly that. Like, just because you haven't done too many things doesn't mean you haven't done things. You've got favorites and you share those on your video.
Yeah, that's kind of what I realized I could do. Like I could express like things that I watched that month and stuff like that. I don't usually get stuff. I got stuff because it was my birthday month the month before. But so we'll see how good I am about doing that in the future. But yeah, and I just and I'm really glad that that in this live chat I'm able to express like I am able to walk around my house for the most of the time because it's a small space and I can get from point A to point B in less than 60 seconds. If I can't, then if the pain becomes too much, I have to sit on the ground. I'm okay with sitting on the ground in my house. and if the pain is really bad, then I'll walk around in my cane, or if it's worse than that, if my ankles are giving out and I'm in too much pain, I'll use my chair around the house. But if I want to leave the house, which I haven't used the chair around my house because my wrists, if I want to leave the house, if I want to go to trip around the mall, or where else would I go? I don't know, to a bar even, like to hang out with friends. Need my chair because these are places where you would be standing for a long time. Even going to the supermarket or to a Dollar Tree, specifically if they don't have the electric carts, I need my wheelchair because you'll be standing shopping, standing waiting in line. The Dollar Tree is actually where I first realized that I had lost my ability to walk past the minute. Oh. Because that's my memory. Like I'll never forget it. Because I was using in 2014 I was using a cane because I was in so much pain. So it was kind of using a cane in the same way a mountain climber would use it, like using it to like pull yourself across.
Over. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. That's pretty much how I was using it. And sometimes just for stability, like if people would notice like I wasn't leaning on it. I'm like, no, it's just to like keep me stable. And like to be there in case my body leans one way or another, but I wasn't leaning on it the whole time. When I was in a lot of pain, I would be like using it to pull myself across. And then one day I went to the Dollar Tree with my sister, and we were going up and down the aisle, and it had been just like 2 minutes inside, and all of a sudden like the pain was so sharp, like I said, like that you just jumped off the ground. Right. Onto the ground sharp, and I had to like sit on the floor because I couldn't stand anymore. And that was the moment I'm like, I can't walk anymore. I realized I need to get a chair. So that's like a memory for me. That's like an origin story of like the moment I realized that I couldn't walk anymore. And it's been progressively like that with my illness and disability, because EDS you have it your whole life. It's in your body, and it manifested itself in very small ways, like just stuff that you wouldn't think of. Like my ankles would always give out, and I thought that that was just clumsiness. Like oh, I fall down a lot because my ankles will go and just completely give out into an L shape. So I wasn't very good at PE. I had like lung issues, very occasional asthma, all of it, like every single thing that's happened to me in my life has to do with EDS, because it has to do with like how the collagen makes all my internal organs and stuff stretchy and flexible.
Right.
So my ankles giving out was the EDS. My lung problems are EDS. My eyesight is EDS. Oh my gosh, I just had a realization right now. Okay, so when I was like 4 years old, we were very broke. We were living in a hotel, and I was watching TV, and out of nowhere, my eye. Some people notice this, most people don't, but my eye's a little crossed, and like all of a sudden my eye rolled up. I actually don't know which one is the typical one and which one is the eye that rolls. But one of my eye rolled up like into my head, and like
oh
I saw double. And I remember that moment. Like all of a sudden I threw my hands at the headboard of the bed, and I'm like, Mom, everything's double now. What happened? And they took me to a doctor, and they gave me an eyeglass prescription to help my eyes. And after a while, the double stopped being so much, and it just became mild blurred vision. And people were not only making fun of me because I didn't know English, but also because I was a Four Eyes. So I was like, I'm getting rid of my accent, and I'm getting rid of these, like everything. So I just realized now
that was also part of your EDS.
That my eye losing control like that is probably collagen messing with my eye. Man.
Everything. In the chat, we got Chris Lawrence came in at the end. Hi, Chris. Thanks for joining us. And Kelia asked, you mentioned that you've had this time to consume media. What are you reading / watching? What would you recommend we check out? Now, obviously, I know that you just had your September favorites. Are there additional things that you've been reading and watching that we could check out that you didn't mention there?
I don't know. What do I do? I really use those favorites like as I had been using them previously. My brother and I watch girly shows together. We watch New Girl and Pretty Little Liars. We were watching Luke Cage too. And I watch Netflix. If anybody doesn't know, has on all their original series, as well as a lot of other programs, they have audio descriptions, and I love watching like everything with audio descriptions, because like I said, sometimes it's difficult for me to like catch details of things, but also as a writer, audio descriptions provides words, vocabulary, definitions that I never knew of before that I will learn about in context. Like
nice.
It's very funny. In Luke Cage, there was a point where the audio description says, and now the person pistol whips this character. And I realized that if I were writing a scene like that, I would have never come up with the word pistol whips, because pistol does not come up to mind naturally as a word for a gun. It just doesn't. I would say, if I were writing the description, if someone asked me to write a description for that scene, I would say, and he smacked him in the face with a gun. I wouldn't have the word naturally pistol whipping naturally come to mind. So that was like a new word for me to like include in my vocabulary, just as a writer, just as like to be knowledgeable about that kind of culture. And there's a lot of different examples like that. Luke Cage was really good. Finished that. So good. What else? So we did that. Stranger Things, obviously. I want to rewatch American Horror Story with my brother. He won't do it yet. He's never watched season 1, and season 1 was really great. And I want to I want to get him on that. But him and my mom are very similar in the way that like I'm very adamant about like recommending stuff, and I want to recommend stuff, and I want to rewatch stuff with them, because I feel like that's like a bonding activity. Like I want to share something that I love with you, and I want to enjoy it with you, and I want to see how you react to certain things, stuff like that. But the two of them constantly hesitate with my recommendations. They're like, meh, I don't think so.
Is it all your recommendations, or is it just your horror recommendations?
No, it's the majority of my recommendations, and I take that as a rejection to my entire self. Like, it's like, please stop rejecting me. Please, like, it's like an invitation to play a game, I guess. Like, if so, like, imagine a kid, like, coming up to their relatives and like, you want to play Monopoly with me? No.
Okay, to be fair, though, I would say no to Monopoly as well. I hate that game.
I've never played it. It was just the first board game that came to mind. But that's basically how I feel whenever I like offer someone to like watch something with me and they say no. But both of them are like that, and they're like about everything, even food. like I'll tell my brother, try shrimp. No, I don't think I'll like it. Try it. No. And it was like,
I think I remember this from Disneyland when we were eating together. I think I remember seeing this happen.
Yep. I'll and it's weirdly offensive to me because I'm always right. Because when I say you're
that's
gonna
be my quote from this live show. I'm always right, Annie Elainey.
It's just that whenever I recommend something to either one of my brother or my mom, I'm like, you're gonna like this. And there has never been a time where I've been wrong about that. They always like what I recommend to them. But it takes them months, maybe a year, to finally agree to watch it. And it's just about, I think they troll me. I think they purposely know that that their rejection is painful. I have a weird family, and they take pleasure in making me feel rejected and lonely.
Aww. Well, people will watch your videos on YouTube and they'll take your recommendations. So suck it, family.
I hope so, but I don't get to see their faces.
Oh. We're also joined in the chat by Omar, knowledgeable reaction. Omar. Hi, Omar.
Hold on. My sister's calling. What is it, Annie? What? I'm in the office. Hold on.
I'm going to be wrapping up the chat with Annie soon. But thank you, everyone who has come to watch us. It's been great. Kilia, JD, Ewan, Rebel Wheels NYC, Denise Camacho. Who else joined us here? Kristen of Like Kristen, thank you for joining us. Rena, thank you for joining us. Hey, welcome back.
Hey, sorry.
Did you just call your sister Annie?
Emmy. E-M-I.
Oh. I was like, it's a good name, but you don't both have to shit.
No, yeah, no. No, I don't. I actually rarely call her Emily. I always call her Emmy.
Funny.
Yeah, like, to the point where I forget. Like, when people call her Emily, I'm like, oh, that's right. Might be.
That's similar to how Abby calls her sister by a different name than everybody else calls her. I get it. In the chat, Kelia said, we'll just have to make reaction videos to your recommendations so you can see our reactions.
That would be amazing.
You should do it. You should go check out Annie's September favorites video and then check out all the things that she's recommended and record yourself experiencing them and then send her the link. That would be fantastic.
Let me tell you, I love me a good reaction video. I love watching people's reactions to things. I don't know why. Does that make me
I think we all do, but that's why it's like such a popular genre on YouTube. It's because it triggers our empathy reaction is what it does. It makes us like feel, oh, they feel this thing, I feel this thing, we're feeling this thing together. It's a very positive experience.
I guess so. There's some people that I don't think I've personally been criticized about it, but I've seen criticism about, like, I don't understand people who want to watch me react to things. I'm like, who are you people? Because I love watching people react to things. And it's like, it's about a shared experience. It's about, like, are you going to experience it in the same way that I experienced it? And it's very disappointing when they don't.
I mean, I myself am not the biggest fan of reaction videos, but I know why. It's because I like to have my experiences very internalized and individualized. Like, I have to be somewhat intimately friendly or otherwise connected to someone to want to share my reactions with them. Otherwise, I'm going to make it internalized. So that's why those videos don't do too much for me. If I don't know them and then we're not close people, it doesn't do much for me. But I understand why it's appreciated. It's because people have empathy and they like that reaction. They like to have that feeling and have it suggested by somebody else's reaction. Evokes it in yourself as well. So I cry
a lot. I cry a lot at a lot of pieces of media, and it kind of is disappointing to me when I show somebody something and they didn't cry. So I'm like, oh.
Okay, that's going to be your next quote. Annie wants everyone to cry. Okay, that's...
I feel like when I'm recommending something, I'm giving you a gift. I'm like, this is something that touched me. This is something that I thought was either really creatively genius or something that really impacted me emotionally. And if it doesn't do the same thing, you know what I mean? Kind of like a book. I think that a lot of people feel that way about Harry Potter. Like, Harry Potter was very emotionally impactful. And if they lend the book to a friend and they're like, it was okay. You're like, what? This thing changed my life. And you're like, okay. So,
I mean, but there's nothing wrong with that. But that is like associating yourself with something that you like. And while that's perfectly valid, there's a danger there in exactly what you're describing, and that if the thing that you like gets rejected, you feel rejected yourself.
I do feel a little rejected, but I feel more like I really wanted to on a present that you thought they would get really excited about, and then they're very lukewarm about it. Like, oh, that's nice, thank you. Like, you know what I mean? Like yeah. You put into it, and you thought that they were gonna have a really excited reaction to it, and it turns out they don't like it that much. So it's kind of more for me. It is kind of more about, like, I thought you would react like this, and then you didn't. And like, or you didn't like it as much as I thought you would. My mom does that to me all the time. She doesn't like. I love to cry and get emotionally involved with media. I think that if a piece of media, a movie, a piece of music make me cry, I think that that's powerful. I think that that's effective. And it's art. It's what it's supposed to do, which is impact you in some kind of emotional or intellectual way. And if someone doesn't, then it kind of a little bit throws that into question. Like, it throws the question, like, do you not understand? Are you not an artistic soul and a sensitive soul like I am? Or is it me? Am I too sensitive? So it throws all that into the air, and I'm not sure which one is which.
You know, a very smart person told me earlier that these problems stem from expectation. Like, if you've got expectation, then it's going to hurt you if it doesn't turn out the way.
Disappointed. Pretty much. Like, that just, it always, like I said, I love getting into it, and I love being angry, sad, scared. I love watching horror movies because I love being that person that, like, throws commentary and getting angry at the protagonist. Like, no! Get out of there! And there was a scene actually in Stranger Things. I'm not going to spoil at all. But there is a scene that's very emotionally charged for me at the end of episode 3, I think it is, called Call It Jolly. And it's very emotionally charged for me because of the music choice that they made. And there's 2 simultaneous scenes that happen. One with loss and one with gain. And they're playing a particular song piece in the background. And I, like, like am so emotionally overwhelmed at that scene, and I wanted to revisit that scene with my mom. I told her, I'm like, Mom, I analyzed the scene for her. I said, this is the direction that they went with. This is the theme they went with. This is the underlying message they went with. And she had already seen the whole season with me, but I'm like, let's revisit this scene because I think that it's such a well done, emotionally charged, powerful scene. And she's the kind of person that I'm trying to show her something and she gets on her cell phone instead. So I'm like, you need to be paying attention. I am! No, you're not. And therefore, obviously, would not, if she told me she likes getting disassociated from media because she does not like to have emotional reactions to media.
Yeah.
And like, I'm like, I don't understand this, but fine. Because I think that achieving an emotional response to media is like almost the safest way to have an emotional response. Because it's not something that you have to deal with the day after tomorrow, unless it's like something triggering, of course. But like for example, the scene that I'm talking about in Stranger Things is just like, it's there. Maybe you cry a little bit, maybe you don't. Maybe it's just something that gives you some ASMR. Over, like, that wasn't real. So that's like my favorite thing. Kind of like haunted houses or roller coasters. Like it's experiencing a certain emotion in a certain way with a lot of safety on it.
Yeah,
well. So you're not.
But you have to let people experience these things their own way. Like when we rode on that kiddie roller coaster at Disneyland and I flipped out, you laughed at me. I was so upset. I was so scared.
No, wasn't I laughing at you? I was laughing on the coaster because it was amazing. I was like, because it was fun. What was it that we rode?
It was like Rolling Thunder or something like that.
Thunder Mountain.
Thunder Mountain. That's it.
That was fun. but you. I think I laugh at everything. Like I have a terrible habit of like laughing through my words because.
I mean, I wasn't offended. It was just funny to me that like I was obviously like flipping out. I was like afraid and kind of nervous. And then at the end, something like, I think you asked me, how was that? Or was that okay? And my response was just something like, no. And you're like, oh.
I think I didn't take that so seriously because I thought that your no was in a comedic way. Like, no. I don't know.
I mean, I was kind of laughing at myself too, but I'm definitely not as much of a roller coaster enjoyer as you are.
I don't think I can do them very much anymore anyway. It's like, because my equilibrium goes. But I do still love Thunder Mountain. Such an adjustment because I love roller coasters, but now like my back gets in a lot of pain from like being shaken around. And from all the motion and the flipping of my body, because I haven't been diagnosed yet with POTS, but there's a very likely chance that my blood, because of the collagen, is like bouncing around in my body, upside down and stuff. Like it's just my blood is gonna go all over the place really quickly, and then I'll get nauseous and everything gets ruined.
Are you saying POTS? P-O-T-S?
P-O-T-S. Like, that's what they're looking at as my next secondary diagnosis. I have to get, and the way they would have to diagnose me, I have to see a cardiologist, I think, and they have to put me on, like, a table where they flip me upside down and back up. And so I'm still waiting. This is how long everything takes. I went to the doctor, I don't know, I think a couple weeks ago, and I have to get referrals for the cardiologist to get tested. I still haven't gotten the referrals. Once I get a referral, then I have to make an appointment. The appointment might be a couple of days, but more than likely, might be a few months. And then I will go to a appointment where I just talk to the doctor, and then that doctor will set me up for another appointment. That's why getting diagnosed can take, every little step takes a lot of time.
That sucks.
I know, it's not like any of the hospital shows where like people just Dang. I wish.
I
No?
wish. In the chats, JD Dalton says, "Much love, guys. Gotta go. It was fun watching. Paul, I'll see you in a few weeks." That's right. I'm gonna be I'm gonna go to the YouTube Accessibility Summit in November, and JD's gonna be there. I wish you were gonna be there too.
I wish too. That would be awesome. I feel a little excluded. I'm like, I want to go. That sounds like my element.
I mean, it's ridiculous that I don't know. There's no way for me to say this without sounding ridiculous, but I get so upset that distance is not accessible.
Yeah.
Like, why can't Florida and California coexist in the same place? Come on.
When teleportation becomes a real thing, that will be an accessibility thing as well. Like, imagine like teleporting to the ER, teleporting home when you're sick. So that's gonna be real interesting. And then making events accessible via distance. That actually is a very, very real accessibility thing. For example, like I live south of Miami. I live like an hour away, anywhere between. I live outside of town like 20 minutes. So going anywhere to any event, I live more on like the farmer side of Miami, like closer to the farm area. So if I want to go anywhere, it's either pretty much that's not the supermarket that's like a block down, etc. If I want to go to a mall or anywhere in the center of the city, the driving distance is basically between 20 minutes to an hour to an hour and a half. That would be Fort Lauderdale. That would be another city away. It's an hour and a half. But the central area is about 20 to 30 minutes away. Then the big downtown Miami Beach area is about like 45 minutes away. And so here's where accessibility comes in. I have a lot of difficulty driving for a long period of time. Sometimes my adrenaline is good enough that I can do it. For example, miracle trip for Disney. To get to Disney from my house is like 3 hours and a half or whatever. And I'm like, let's go. And I put my like lumbar pillow, the lumbar pillow on my back, and I drove the 3 hours there.
That's so unpredictable, though. You don't know what's going to happen on the way.
Exactly. And if I have to stop, I have to stop. But my point is like I was able to, and but it's back and forth. Sometimes I'm well enough and have enough adrenaline pumping to get it done. Adrenaline is like miracle drug. like for example, when sometimes I'm capable of doing a lot. Like the time I think I posted it on Twitter, I had to like board up my door because I was in a fight with a family member, and they kept trying to.
I remember that.
Yeah, and they kept trying. It wasn't necessarily a violent situation. It was just that they kept trying to come into
They wouldn't leave you alone. Yeah.
Yeah. So it wasn't necessarily like that, but like they wanted to keep screaming, they wanted to keep fighting, and I didn't have a lock on my door, so I had to block it in order to keep them out of the room. And that was adrenaline. I was having an anxiety attack, and the adrenaline allowed me to like lump all the pieces in front of there. But were it not for the adrenaline, I typically am not capable of doing some that kind of a physical activity. But all that to come back down to the point, which is that if there was teleportation, I would be able to go into town more often. Because a lot of times, like, well, I'll be in. That's the other thing. I get invited to events, but I don't have independent mobility at the moment, so I can't go unless somebody becomes my 24/7 aid at the event. And I really don't like that idea because of like trust issues and just it feels a little. I still am dealing with I would call it a little bit of an internalized ableism where I don't like feeling dependent on another person, which is a real privilege, to be honest. Some people just have to be dependent on somebody else. Right. But for me, like, it's still a very hard thing to accept that I would have to be dependent on somebody else to be mobile. Even, like, there's beach wheelchairs that they don't have a way for you to propel yourself. Somebody has to push you. And it kind of feels like somebody throws you in a wheelbarrow and somebody else has to push you in the wheelbarrow over the sand.
That's no good.
Like, do you get how that could possibly feel? It feels a little
Yes.
vulnerable. It feels a little embarrassing, kind of, for me, because it's not something that I'm accustomed to. So, like, I didn't like that feeling. It felt like being in a baby stroller. It felt out of control. It felt like I didn't have control of where I went or when I went. And so I don't look forward to that at all. Going out, especially to like a bar event, especially to like anywhere where there's a lot of strangers there. I don't really feel safe doing that.
Do power chairs offset that feeling?
Yes, because I'm in control of the chair and I'm in control when I move. Like, not that you're not vulnerable in a chair, period. Like, there's been times where I was nearly kidnapped in my wheelchair because it was a loud event at a giant like club / bar, and a stranger came up to me. Like, they were drunk, I think, and they like grabbed the back of my chair.
Oh shit!
And started pushing me away from my friends. And my friends just assumed that I knew the person.
What the fuck? Oh, come on!
And they started taking me away, and I was like yelling for them to stop, but it was too loud for like anybody to hear me, and I was so short that nobody could see me in the crowd. Like, people were just like, being short in the chair is a whole other thing, because like if I'm trying to move around independently in a loud space, I have to like yell up, excuse me, and like people won't hear me because it's so loud and I can't get through anywhere. This drunk person took me all the way across this club thing, and I finally like yelled at them. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, I'm fine here. Like, I guess they were drunk and I think thought they were assisting me to enjoy myself more, like to
God,
to like explore the space or something. And then ultimately left me all the way across the club. And I'm like, great, now I have to navigate myself through the crowd again just to get back to my friends. So it is pretty vulnerable still, but then again, I feel that way more in my manual chair. And now that I look back, maybe it's something I could have done, but I was too freaked out to remember that I could do that. I could have locked my wheels, but I didn't. I didn't remember that I could do that.
When someone steals your agency as physically and abruptly as that, it's hard to remember much of anything. That's a panic situation.
And I'm still a beginner, and I still feel like a beginner all the time, because like I said, though, sometimes, especially now that I rarely get out of the house, the wheelchair feels kind of foreign to me, because the majority of my day I'm either in bed or I walk the few steps like to my kitchen or to my bathroom. So I'm not using the chair a lot. So when I'm in it, it does feel like foreign. It does feel like, oh, this is the thing I got to do to get around. For a while it wasn't, because I did go out and stuff. But right now I don't, because I still need a power chair. One day it'll come. One day it'll be here. And because it's like bigger and heavier, I think it's a little more difficult for somebody to try and like pick me up and take me somewhere else. I'm able to move around more. I felt great at VidCon with my power chair.
Yeah, you seemed very much mobile, which is fantastic.
It was amazing. Like, being independent and being in minimal amounts of pain.
Disneyland too.
It was like, yes, it was great.
You ruled that place. It was great.
I liked it a lot.
We're also joined in the chat by Asante the artist, who just stopped by to say hey. Hey, Asante.
Hey.
We have been going for about almost 3 hours, like 2 hours and 45 minutes now, rocking it. Yeah. But I think I am going to wrap it up because my dog needs to go for a walk soon. Need to take care of that. Are there any last things that you'd like to say to our viewers?
I don't know. That's a really funny thing to say. You just reminded me of like every interview I've ever done. Like, is there anything else you would like to conclude? And I'm like, oh, so now you expect me to like give you a paragraph of like wise words of wisdom, and I don't know if I'm ready to do that.
You have given 2 hours and 45 minutes of good material. You don't have to give anything else if you don't want to.
I don't know. It's such now I'm like I just want to express like what that question makes me feel like. Like it's just like, and now your final words to the world. What will they be? I don't know. Because it always feels like a call to action, and I don't know what the call to action is supposed to be. I don't know. Be good people.
That's a good call to action.
Listen more instead of trying to fight people. Listen to people with different experiences from you. All these things always feel like common sense, but I guess some people need that reminder. Like, maybe I should listen more instead of fighting. But that's actually, it's good for me too. I'm a person that's I'm a Leo, and I like fighting a lot. And I benefit from taking that moment of like filtering myself and say, wait, before you talk, think, ask a question, and listen to what they have to say first. And then if you don't like that answer, then it's okay to get mad. then we can start the fight. But instead of fight instinct first, ask questions first. And I don't know. I guess that's it. Unless like my info stuff, I'm Annie Elainey everywhere, and on YouTube, Annie Elainey on YouTube, and you can find me on Facebook as Annie Sagara, which is my real name. And that's it, I think.
Excellent. I've included a link to your YouTube channel in the description, so people can see that after the video. And you've been wonderful. This has been great.
Yay! I'm glad. This is fun.
Do you have like a typical sign-off for your videos?
I say I'll see you all eventually.
Good. You will. And I always wrap off by saying the same thing, which is that at the end, I always say the same thing. Tomorrow will be even better. Thank you, everybody, for watching.
Bye.